All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I hope everyone's having a good one. I'm still up here making my elixir that I like to make. Helps me out in the morning. It's the first thing I put in my body in the morning. So before we sit down and really get into this thing, I just wanted to go ahead and get online with people early. Hope everyone is doing well today. I already see some of my folks who get on. What's going on, Janae? It's good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate who said that I have a nice shirt. I appreciate that. This t-shirt is a t-shirt of one of my the barbershop that I go to, exclusive. That's why it says exclusive at the bottom. And so I just felt like this was the right thing to wear today. Plus, it was the easiest thing to pull out of the closet and put on. So I'm getting myself together, putting this in turmeric, 1/4 of a tablespoon, putting in some ground cinnamon. Just dropped the top. Let me get that together. And now putting in the ground pepper or the cayenne pepper. Let's see. I hope you all are doing well today. Excuse me for you all catching me doing this at the time. But today will be a day we're going to actually talk about, something specifically. So won't be really taking like questions today. We have ourselves more so an agenda today. So hopefully you all came ready to to listen and to learn. I'm very excited because today at Peace Church we're going to be going over this stuff from the Bible. So it's really cool. So I'm having a good time. I'm looking forward to doing that. But here's what I want to invite you all to do. If you have a Bible, and I hope that you do, I want you to go ahead and turn your Bible to Mark 6. Okay, Mark 6. Mark 6. Whether you put it up online or not, Mark 6. If you want to look it up, you can go to BibleGateway.com, and it could be Mark 6 through 7. Mark 6 through 7, okay? So you all pull that up while I finish making my drink. Pull out the wrong thing. All right. Everybody doing all right this morning? Dr. Smith, you doing all right this morning? Hope you're enjoying all of the festivities over in Eagle Land. Put that honey vinegar in there. And then last but not least, we're going to cut us up a piece of a lemon. And I appreciate you all barely awake. That's what happens when you go to a homecoming at a historically black university. Because you know how to have a good time. Just for me. Well, thank you. Because we know how to have a good time at a historically black university on the real, boy. Homecoming at an HBCU is more than about homecoming and people coming back. It's about, okay, well, cool. Well, hey, well, if you're Muslim, thank you for being on. And you can listen, because what we're going to talk about crosses many different, I think, lifestyles, religions, and understanding. So today is more about, I want to say like it's kind of like a discussion, but today is more so about us doing things a certain way. All right. So come with me as we get ready to go over here and get into this. All right. She said, I'm barely awake. I understand. I remember what it was like. I definitely remember remember what it was like. I got to do a better job, and I got to get back to my homecoming. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to talk today about, technically it's like effectiveness versus efficiency. We're really going to talk more about efficiency versus effectiveness. And so we're going to talk about how to do things when we focus on efficiency versus doing things effectively. So, so I'll give you an example, like try to use a real life example, to understand. I work at an institution where we do things where we have to apply to grants and apply for money, from different agencies in order for us to have funding to support the work that we do, right? And so will apply to government agencies, federal agencies. It could be foundations, various things, right? And when we normally apply for the grants, usually I think like the way that it normally works out is, what's going on, everyone? Usually the way that it works out is a faculty member or whoever will find an opportunity. And then let's say it could be like a $5 million opportunity, right? $5 million for for a program that's like 3 years, and you can help support graduate students, and you get funding, you get funds to do all of these different things. And so folks can easily just apply for the money and then basically get the money back and do whatever the funding agency stipulated, like follow these rules, do this, do that, right? And so that sounds simple enough, right? But then there are other requirements, like, that a lot of times the people who are writing the grants don't really sometimes take in mind. Like sometimes they may not know how to manage the funds. They may not know that the funds can only go into certain kind of accounts, that the funds can only be used for certain things. So whereas they want to use the funds to hire somebody and pay for an assistantship and get someone to grad school, the people that they bring in for an assistantship probably have to be working on a specific project, doing it a certain kind of way. And so while the essence of what we're doing is like focus on getting this money, there are other specifics that you have to be conscious of to how to use this money. And if you're not conscious of that, if you get it and you do it wrong, you could go to jail because it's like you're not doing it right? So you're doing the right things by applying for the funds, but are you doing things right? Then we have this other group of people that really helps us, right? These are the people we call them I like to call them our contracts and grants people. These are the people who work in the offices who make sure that when you get the grant, that everything's already set up so that when you spend the money, you know that you're doing everything legally, you know that you're doing it right, and they help basically keep you out of jail. And the interesting thing is that these individuals, while they're there to help us, a lot of times they probably deal with the most frustration, because a lot of times we wait until the last minute to turn our grants in. So who ends up doing a lot of the crazy work is these people who help us to put it in, even though they've been there the whole time. And if we would have gone to them a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month ago, you see, and did things well in order, then the grant goes in nice and calmly and peacefully. Everybody's kind of in a great mood, and we're just waiting for us to get the money. But because we focus on just doing the right things instead of doing things right, and I know people who've been for years. I've been where I've been for 12 years, and it's crazy how people still been doing the same thing, the same mess ups, because of the pattern that they started a long time ago, right? A long time ago, and they just haven't broken it. So with that said, what I really am interested in is thinking about how we do, how is it that we're to do ministry, or how is it that we're to just kind of live our life and do it in a good way that helps us to grow and become better people and to help other people. And so while I ask you all to turn to Mark 6, let me get my Bible out. And I'm going to read from Mark 6 because I really think that this is awesome. Okay, so watch this. And I'm going to read from the New Living Translation. All right. There we go. Got myself straight. Yes. All right, Mark 6. Now, what's so funny is when we start Mark 6 out, one of the things that Jesus is doing, which is really cool, is Jesus is first he shows up back home in Nazareth. All right, so he shows up back home in Nazareth, and I don't know about you all, if you have noticed this, like, how when you're at work and maybe people elevate you at work for certain things, like, man, you do wonderful things, even if they email it to you, you do this, you do that, but when you go home, They don't care about work, like they care about their relationship with you, right? So regardless if you do good things at work, you at home, and let's say if you were at home and you were just a bad child at home and that's what you're known as, well, then that's how people are going to treat you. They're not going to treat you like this person who does all of this great stuff in the world. They're just going to kind of treat you as an individual who's probably just from this area. So Matthew 6 opens up, with Jesus, coming home. And so here it goes. It says Jesus left that part of the country and returned with his disciples to Nazareth, his hometown. The next Sabbath, he began teaching in the synagogue, and many who heard him were amazed. And they asked, where did he get all of his wisdom and the power to perform such miracles? Then they scoffed, like, He's just a carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon, and his sisters live right here among us. So they were deeply offended and refused to believe in him. So because of his status and because of where he was from and because of their perception of him, I want you to notice that because of their perception of him, they allowed that to prevent them from receiving what he was bringing and the good stuff that he was giving. And then Jesus told them, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his relatives and his own family. And because of their unbelief, he couldn't do any mighty miracles among them except to place his hands on a few sick people and heal them. And he was amazed at their unbelief. Now, I want you to notice that. Now, so it's funny, he understood that it's not only about what you are there to do, but it's also about the people who are there to receive what you're doing. Okay, it's also about them receiving what it is that you're there to do. So then it goes into the next one. It says Jesus sends out 12 disciples. And so this is the part that I'm going to focus in on and just hold on to. He sends out the 12. It says, then Jesus went from village to village, teaching the people. And he called his 12 disciples together and began sending them out by two. Okay, by giving them authority to cast out evil spirits. He told them to take nothing for their journey except a walking stick, no food, no traveler's bag, no money. He allowed them to wear sandals, but not to take a change of clothes. All right. And he said, wherever you go, he said, stay in the same house until you leave town. But if any place refuses to welcome you or listen to you, shake its dust from your feet as you leave to show that you have abandoned those people to their fate. Okay, so the disciples went out telling everyone that they meant to repent of their sins and turn to God, and they cast out many demons and healed many sick people, anointing them with olive oil. So first, I want to pause there, and so I want to talk about the way that they went out and how they did what they did, and how their focus, had to be, and what their goal was in going out. All right, so they had to go out, and here's the big thing I noticed. So they had to go out, and they had to only take a staff, no food, no money, basically, and no change of clothes. So when they went out, they themselves had to be totally dependent on God. And if you think about it, the way that they went out, that's also the way Jesus went out, totally dependent on God. However, Jesus sent them out in pairs, but he could do things individually, right? They went out in pairs, but he could do things individually, right? And so they had to do it in a way that was efficient and effective for them, right? And Jesus understood that. Jesus could do it by himself because Jesus already understood how to do everything. He was already prepared. He was already ready, whereas they did not know that. And so he understood that when he sent them out, people were also going to be looking at them and looking at how they came. People are also going to be looking at them, looking at what did you bring with you. People are going to be looking at you, trying to see what kind of faith you have. People are going to be looking at you, trying to look at the manner that you approach them. People are going to be looking at you, wondering what's your posture coming up in here? Are you coming up in here to just try to work and just try to tell me something? Or are you actually coming in here to meet me where I am, to talk to me the way that I need to be talked to, and to actually help me? And I do believe that it is hard. It's not impossible. I do believe it's hard sometimes for people to receive the word from anybody, or to receive good news, or to receive any kind of help from someone if you have not connected with them where they are, at that moment in their life at that time. Like if we look at, let's say, President Obama or First Lady Obama, and the way that they go out and speak. Here they are. He's the president. She's the first lady. They are in the White House. I mean, these are probably the most famous people in the world. But when they come out to talk to people, they actually, in my opinion, they don't walk, like he doesn't walk in his presidency, in my opinion, every time he speaks. He definitely walks in his humanity and the way that he is. She doesn't walk in her first ladyship in the sense of more so walking in who she is. So when they speak, people can gravitate towards them. People can grab hold of their words because they say things in a way that we all can receive it and that we can understand it. And that's just one example. I'm not saying that they're the model or anything like that, or, about Democrat, Republican. It's not really about the politics. What I'm really trying to bring your mind to is how they present, and just like the way that they present is an example of people who, let's say, who have a lot, but who can connect with people who don't have a lot. And they can connect with people who do have a lot. And they connect with people in the middle. See, so when you come in a genuine way, I think when you come the effective way, you can connect with people across a bunch of lines. If you come the efficient way, you probably can get a lot done or feel like you're getting a lot done, but you might be missing some things, right? So let's categorize efficiency. So what is efficiency? Efficiency is when you do the right things. That's when you do the right things. As an individual who has dealt with weight loss, as a person who's lived a life where I had no money to now making money, as a person who's lived a life where it's kind of like you may have felt like you were at the bottom and now you're rising to the top, or like your situation has changed, right? I can speak on that. So I'm going to use the example of weight loss to kind of explain this, right? So when we talk about weight loss, I think a lot of people in the world really want to lose weight, right? And so think about the process most of the time that people go through in order to lose weight. Like I used to weigh 302 pounds, right? And when I first started to lose weight, I immediately wanted to lose weight immediately, like literally, like I just wanted the weight to be gone, right? And so a lot of times what we do is to help people lose weight, we'll probably start with how they look first, right? Start with what people can see. I want to take a sip of this now. So we start with what people can see, which, in my opinion, is good because that's the one indicator that you can identify, right? And so, but if we focus, so much on what people, how they look, then people will think that weight loss and good health is only about how you look, right? So it makes sense why so many people want to lose the weight immediately because they want to look a certain way quickly. So that's why diets and dieting always catches everyone's attention kind of fast because, hey, eat this food and you'll lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Take this pill and you'll lose weight in a month and you'll change your life. Or even one of my favorite workouts, like to actually do, which is actually true, which is insanity. They'll be like, in 60 days, we can get you a year of results in basically 2 months, right? So everyone likes that. I want it as fast as I can get it, and I want it as quick as I can get it so I can get these results. So people will diet. People will go and get procedures done. People will go and join clubs and join organizations, like to actually help them out. We'll do all kind of things because we want the results and we want the results quickly. You see, efficiency. A lot of businesses are going to the efficient model. How do we cut out different steps so we can get the results that we want faster? How do we cut out certain processes so we can get to the outcomes that we want in a quicker way? Efficiency. We want to do the right things. So we're tired of going through all of these other steps to get to where we have to go to. So you do that, and then what ends up happening? You may lose weight, but the habits aren't set up in a way and like you haven't designed the steps in a way that are sustainable and more life-changing. You've done more of the immediate thing, which is to get a process done. So your body may change, true, right? You know, like your body may change, but the habits aren't established for you to really for you to sustain it. So after 2 months or 3 months, what ends up happening? You gain the weight all back. Or let's say you take some medicine and you take these pills for the sake of doing this, right? And you take them, but what happens when you run out of pills? You know, what happens when you can't afford the pills anymore? You know what I'm saying? So we kind of get more dependent on the immediate things. We get more dependent on the fast things. And what Jesus was showing them is it's more about the long term. It's more about doing things in an effective way. So that means we're going to do things right. We're not just going to do the right things. We're going to do things right. That's what we're going to do. And so in order to do things right, one of the first things that you have to understand is this. Before you change, sometimes what you do, it might be better for you to change your attitude about it. Okay. So for me to start focusing on health and shape, I had to change my mindset about it. It couldn't just be about what I look like. It couldn't just be about how my clothes fitted on me. Even though I have like a pair of pants that I try on every year to make sure that I can still fit in those pants. Like if I can still wear those pants, I'm doing something right. I've had these pants since 2001, and I can still wear these pants 15 years later. You know, so if I can still fit into these pants, then I would probably feel like I'm doing something right, right? And so what I realized is that dieting is great, but dieting with no physical engagement is not really always good. Dieting is probably 70 to 80% of health and changing, but you got to get physical too. So you have to be active. For some people, they think it's just about being active. That's why they hack into gyms. For some people, they think it's literally only about changing how you eat. So then that's why they just change how they eat, but then they don't get active, right? But when you're more active and when you're eating good things, then your body can do other things, right? Which means you feel better about what it is that you're doing because you changed how you eat and you've done it for a long period of time. Your lifestyle has shifted. So that means that, guess what? You take more control of your health and you take more control of your weight loss as well as your weight gain. So when you have more control over it, you can do it in an effective way, which means that you know that here's one of the things, like I don't eat and worry about calories. And I'm not saying everybody's body is like mine and you do what I do to get the results that I have, because it's not always going to work either. But I don't count calories because I enjoy my experiences when I eat. I love to eat. Anyone who's been out to eat with me, you know I love to eat. You put it in front of me. If I'm hungry, it doesn't have a chance. Okay, it's like putting a Tic Tac in front of the Loch Ness Monster that's hungry, and that's all that the Loch Ness Monster got to eat is that Tic Tac. Like, I'm gonna tear that thing up. And so that's the thing, you know. Like, so I understand that I like to eat, but I also understand that I need to eat a certain way and I need to eat for a certain purpose. So that means the how, the why, the what, the where, and the when are very important. So it's when I eat and when I exercise is probably important. Maybe where I eat and when I eat is, you know, and where I exercise is important. Maybe I need to be in a place where I don't have a lot of distractions. Maybe when I eat the food, I need to be in a place that where I actually feel good. How I do it is very important. Some people like to get in the gym and work out for an hour or 2 hours. I've been able to maintain my size and weight for the last 2 years, and I work out usually daily under an hour. Okay, the how is very important, because when I do workouts, I do things that are going to affect cardio as well as strength building, and I try to do things that are whole body. So my legs aren't only strong, my arms are strong. My arms are the only thing that's strong. My back is strong. My back's not just strong, but my abs and my core, you know, all of this stuff is strong because the whole body is engaged in the whole thing. So when I eat food, I eat with nutrition in mind, and when I eat food, I eat with my lifestyle in mind, and I'm a vegetarian. So when I eat broccoli, I know why I'm eating it. When I eat kale, I know why I'm eating it. When I do this workout, I know why I'm doing the workout. If I'm drinking this drink, I know why I'm drinking this drink, just like me drinking this morning. So that means that when I do things, I'm intentional about what I do. So let's go back to the disciples. If you show up with no money, you show up with no change of clothes, you show up with no food, then when you're talking to these people about being totally dependent on God, they see it in you too. They're seeing, first, if you come in here talking radical, They're looking at you living radical. So you are living exactly what you're talking. So it's going to make it easier for people to receive what you're doing. He says, when you go to a place, you go into that house, you stay there until you leave. So it's not you go in there and then you just touch people and then you walk out. No, you have to go in there and spend time with people. You have to sit with people. They have to know who you are. They have to know that what you're bringing them is going to help them because you're living it and because you're doing it. The other thing is when you're totally dependent on God, you really do care about your relationship with them because while you're helping them, that means they're probably also helping you. Because remember, they didn't take any food, they didn't take any money, they didn't take a change of clothes. So when you need to be warmed up, maybe the relationship that you made with the people there, they're going to help keep you warm. When you need some food, those people there can help you eat. Okay, when you need some money, maybe those people can help you with money. And I want you to notice something that, right, he did that with the disciples. The same thing happened to Paul. What's going on, Miss Sanders? Happy Sunday to you. Thank you for logging on. That Paul actually had to do the same thing. And when Paul was in prison, they sent him money. So it wasn't about your resources. It was about the relationship with people. I was looking at Andy Stanley yesterday, and even he talked about how happiness is really tied to the who, not necessarily the what. So our happiness, he was like, parents in particular, you're only as happy as your children, or you're as happy as your oldest child, right? Same with children to the parents. Like the children, you're as happy as your parents, right? So he was showing how our happiness is really dependent on our interactions with each other and the results with each other. So I said, when you're totally dependent on God, you can only do things right. So remember, before you can do things right, you have to have the right attitude. When I was a child, I think as a child, I spake as a child, I did childish things. When I became a man or when I became a woman, when I became grown, I put childish things away. Okay. You know, when you have done something wrong, let's talk about apologies for like a few seconds. You know, when you've done something wrong and then you apologize, hey, what's going on from Spain? And when you apologize in a way to protect your feelings, you may have done the right thing by apologizing, but did you actually do it right by apologizing in a way that protects you? Did you fully own what you did? Or did you just say the words to make them feel okay, but you really let yourself off of the hook because you didn't own what you did? Okay. When you do the right things, you may, not talking politics today, when you do the right things, it says you don't leave people worse off than when you met them. Recognizing that people sometimes need to be treated with care. So sometimes people will show up like an evangelist. They can show up to do their job, right? You know, I'm here to evangelize. I'm here to talk about God. I'm here to talk about what I'm here to talk about. But if the people aren't like centered or more like focused like on what it is that you were talking about, if they aren't centered, if they aren't there, then even though you're doing all of this great work, you know, the sad part is that it's falling on deaf ground. It's falling on bad ground because you haven't set the environment for me to receive what you're doing. So when you're doing God's work, the how, what, where, when, who, and why are all important. It's all important. It's not just about the what and the where. It's about who you're doing it for. It's about what you're doing. It's about when you're doing it. It's about why you're doing it. And it's about how you're doing it. And it's about what you're doing. And Jesus understood that. So that's why when we are going out into the world and when we're doing this work, we have to be focused on doing things not just efficiently, but really do things effectively. And here's what Jesus also understood. Proverbs 23:7. So as a person thinketh, you know, that's what they may feel that they are. So if my perception of you is that you're up here, then no matter what you do, I'm going to have you up here. You know, I know that's something that I'm dealing with now a lot of times. Like I talk to people all the time and I'm very honored and humble that people sometimes they put me up here now and I'm like, please don't, because I don't belong up here. Matter of fact, don't put me anywhere. Hear what I'm saying and recognize that I'm just a man. I try to work with common sense just like you. I want things to work out well just like you. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be hurting. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be hurting. You know, all of that stuff, you know. But I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm happy to do what I'm doing, and I'm happy to be working with people, and I'm happy to do what I'm doing with people the way that I'm doing it. And I see the results. I get things back, and I know a big part of that is how I go to them. So If you're one of those folks who focuses on efficiency, that's good. You know, that's great. But more importantly, we need to focus on effectiveness. We need to focus on, instead of doing the right things, we need to focus on doing things right. Okay. If you continue in that, as I really bring this to a close, the other thing that happened in that same scripture, Jesus fed 5,000 people. Jesus walked on water. And then Jesus talked to the Pharisees soon after that, because the Pharisees came up, and that was in Mark 7. And I'll close on this. The Pharisees noticed that his disciples hadn't washed their hands before they started eating. And the Pharisees wanted to ask, like, about the process. That's what they wanted to focus on, you know, because the Pharisees always washed their hands and did this certain ceremony because they didn't want to defile themselves. They didn't want dirty things to go into their body, because they were more concerned about the image of how they looked. So they didn't want to defile their bodies. And Jesus actually called them hypocrites. And then this is in Mark 7, so you can read Mark 7. And Jesus called them hypocrites. He called them hypocrites because he was like, well, you all are focused on the outward appearance, and you're focusing on what defiles you, talking about what goes in your body. He's like, what defiles you is what actually comes out of your body. And so you all are worried about the traditional things. You know, he was like, we are concerned about the spiritual things. We're concerned about how do we clean up our hearts and our minds so that when things come out, we don't defile other people, and we're not defiling ourselves. You all are more concerned about how you look and how people see you. While recognizing that that's important, Jesus is like, it's more important for you to be more concerned about how you do it and why you do it than just to be concerned about what people see. So that regardless of what they see, even if they see something that's not about you, you can still continue to do what you're supposed to do. And then whether you get thanked for it or not, you still do what you're supposed to do, because you're doing it you're doing it right. You're doing this thing the right way, which is the humble way, which is the holy way, which is the righteous way, which is, it's about who sent me, and it's about you. It's not about my ego and not about what I want, but it's about what you need, and it's about who sent me. So with that, I hope you got something from that. Focusing on effectiveness versus efficiency. And here's the thing, regardless if you identify as a follower of Jesus, regardless if you identify as a religious person, if we just focus on humanity, I really don't think we can go wrong thinking about effectiveness versus efficiency. As an effective person, I definitely want to reach people where they are. Like I have a new friend. She emails me, you know, and unfortunately, I'm not able to respond back to her, you know, quickly, right? You know, she knows who I'm talking about. And this sister actually has needed, or maybe desire, you know, like to be able to talk about some things, maybe, you know, like quicker, at times. And unfortunately, my schedule won't allow me to do that. And so we came up with a compromise where every now and then we'll Skype. So then that way they aren't emailing and sitting there and waiting to get a response. We can Skype and answer questions real time, because I want to make sure that I'm helping this individual out, because I believe that God has called me to help this individual out, because they have already helped me. So I want to be available, and I want to be able, you know, to help in the appropriate way, in a relevant way, in a real way, in a way that touches her, and not just makes me feel like, oh, I'm helping somebody, or I've done something else. No, it's more about, did you get what you need? Did you get what you needed out of it? And so that's my focus. That's my goal. That's what I care about. So with that, if you have any questions, you can email me at Thomas R. Easley at easleybranch.com, EASLEY branch.com. You can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Rashard Easley. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Consistency is important. All at the same place, Rashard Ease, RASHADEAS. You can get on my YouTube channel. We usually download these recordings to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rashadi, RASHAADI. If you have any further questions, you can email me there. You can reach out to me there. I want to thank everyone, you know, who got on this morning. Appreciate the people who asked questions. Some of them were a little off, so we'll be handling that by probably kind of checking that, a little bit later. But we try to be on here between 7:30 to 8 a.m. So I'm going to be logging off. But email me with that question. You can send me something. You can respond to this link on YouTube, and we can keep that discussion going. Hope you all have a great Sunday. 11 a.m., 2810 Cakes Avenue with a C. Peace Church will be meeting. If you want to come out, if you're here in Raleigh, come on out, room 126. Love to have you. Y'all take care. Peace.